Good morning, everyone. I've been asked to go ahead and show off my Thaumcraft essentia setup because it's not commonly used. I use no golems in my setup. It's completely using buffers and essentia pipes and bellows to move essentia around the system. So as some people may not know, the pipes in the essentia pipes can be banded. You can have a blue band or red band or no band. And you do that by shift right clicking with the wand. No band, all the suction on the essentia tube system is normal. The blue band reduces that suction to 1, and the red band reduces suction on that side to 0. So by going through and setting the red tube this way, just like this will have the full suction of 1. And then since this side is now 0, it will allow this buffer, which has a suction of 1, to pull out of the previous buffer, and this one to pull out of the previous. So if we go through, I've got some soybeans in there. I start melting those down, and the essentia will automatically flow from one to another to another. There's that, and then there's the messes. And this is all automatic. No columns, they will sort in there. And if I were to flip the order of the pipes or the jars, it would go in there. So this is the basics of the system. This is how I do everything. And as you saw right there, the mesas popped in and it was pulled out of there. Essentia will always flow to the highest suction. So since in this case the jar has a suction of 32, and now that it has some FAMUS in there, any FAMUS that comes in will automatically go this direction to the jar, and then anything that doesn't match that will go to the next highest suction, which is 1, which is untyped for the buffer. Buffers can store up to 8 essentia types at once, or up to 8 units. And so this will automatically fill up, keep filling up, and go that way. So this is my alchemy setup and essentia system. This is a big long line of buffers that go all the way around the room, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. Just let me go upstairs, and here's part that I have pulled away for you to see. A long line of buffers, and there's tubes going this way to the jar and tubes going down to the jar. Right now all of my jars are labeled, so that way the essentia system is typed. The jars will only pull the type that's on the label, they won't pull anything else. So anything that doesn't match the jars will go on to the next buffer down the line until it's all filled. At the very end of the system, what I have, which is upstairs at the moment, is a bank of jars, and these are all void jars for the 6 primals. And you can see here, the void jars go through and void out any extra essentia that make it through the system. And this last buffer here is so the void jars can work properly, because beyond this buffer is a set of centrifuges which will go through and centrifuge any of the complex essentia types down into the more basic ones and break it down. And this whole essentia system is one big loop. Now as far as the bellows goes, since the buffers only have a suction of 1, that means it can only move 1 block, so you need to have a buffer at every single block if you were going to use just buffers. They are very expensive to craft, so instead you can use bellows. Bellows will raise the suction to 32, so that means I can pull from 32 pipes away. Like this line here, that's the last bellow, or this is the last buffer, and this long line of pipes goes over here just fine because there's a bellows that will pull it down. And then down this direction, the piping goes down and goes over to the centrifuges, which are right here, and they will loop through the system entirely. And this one right here is just an input to the system. So if I have an essentia jar that I want to dump back into my essentia system, I just slap the jar here, take off the label, and then the suction with the two bellows is 64. As you can see here, 64 untyped. So it will pull out of the jar that way. So let me go ahead and break this, and we'll put it back. Okay. So here's the system in the back. The essentia goes right out, goes up into the ring of buffers that go all the way around. And then this pipe here comes down from those primal jars up top. They feed into two centrifuges. Eventually I will need a third in order to keep up with the essentia rate if I was burning a bunch of stuff at once. So the single alembic burns everything in my system. I don't have it doing anything else, don't need anything else with it. The one alembic handles it all. I'm going to go get some more things to burn here, because I didn't have those quite ready yet. And we'll go ahead and grab some of this stuff. Candleberries have are a good source of ordo. So this is very useful for the thaumaturge, because you need ordo for quite a few crafting recipes. So as you can see, the centrifuge is already running, breaking down the aspects. And if you see, you'll see it briefly pop in. That was the Victus that was broken down. And there's Modus, and it's going through and breaking down automatically because I don't need any of those aspects at the moment. So, and then eventually it will all be voided into primals at the very end. Primals can't be centrifuged, so you need to make sure they get removed from the system before you pipe it to the centrifuges. Anyways, that's my essentia setup, and that's what I use. Oh, by the way, the range on the infusion altar is 12, so when I'm infusing things, it can easily pull out anything from all of these. And we'll go ahead and show this little input system here with the two pipes since I've got a jar. So I'm going to put that there, and it's just going to suck right out of the system. And it will give me a nice empty jar. And now this is all put into the system. As you can see, I'm already full of jars here, but it will break it down into their components. Anyways, that's it. Thanks. Bye-bye.